Hey YouTube, how's it going? I just want to wish everyone a happy New Year 2021. Hopefully, everything's better for everyone or getting better, anyways. Um, haven't really been uploading a lot. I had a lot of life issues and things like that going on. So, haven't really just found the motivation to do a lot of side project. Also, work picked up, so we're working some overtime lately and just between family, work, and everything else, haven't really uploaded, but still getting a lot of work done on the car behind the scenes. Um, Last major update that you seen, it was an epoxy primer, and then the body work was getting done. Well, as of now, the body work is all finished. Um, both quarter panels are done. It's just dusty right now, but lots going on, lots changing. So both quarter panels are straight. Roof is straightened out. That was the majority of the body work. Um, got all that sorted, and then I just spot primed over both quarter panels, and then just like half of the roof with epoxy again to seal all the bare metal, and then all that got sanded back. Literally sanding epoxy for like 3, 4, 5 weeks or something. It sucks because it gums up your paper and there's really no good way to do it, but got all the epoxy sanded down and prepped. And obviously with this car not having any glass or like anything being completely disassembled, there's literally so many tight nooks and crannies to sand, and then you add that with epoxy, it just makes it a nightmare. But all that was done, prepped out, good to go. The car got all masked off again and sprayed in some 2K high build urethane primer. So that's pretty much how you see it now. And then currently I'm going through and spraying guide coat and blocking out all the primer, getting it as smooth as I can. Hopefully I have enough 2K on there to smooth it out. If not, it'll have to get 2K'd again and smooth that again, but I'm hoping this should be the last step before paint. As of now, I pretty much, the way I like working is getting the hard things done first. So basically using guide coat, and you don't even have to really block like the inside of door jams and stuff, but I just use the guide coat just so I know I haven't missed anything. Because if you start missing like inside corners and just random little spots, that's where your paint will start chipping. So I go ahead and use guide coat even in the door jams, just so I know that I hit every spot that I need to prep. And basically I prepped out this whole door jam all the way around, up this side here, and then underneath all this stuff. So that's done on the driver's side, the passenger side, and then this cowl panel is all prepped out. And right now I'm working on prepping out inside the trunk jam, and then all this tight stuff around the windows. I'm gonna just leave the big panels for last, just because those are super easy to guide coat and just run long blocks over and make sure they're straight. You can see my guide coat. It's basically kind of like black spray paint. You can also get powders that work really good. The 3M powder works really good, but this is basically like a spray paint. You just kind of spray it on, and as you're sanding, all like the little dips and everything are going to show up black still, just because the spray paint's going to be there. So this whole back panel has like a guide coat sort of deal sprayed over it, and then up this side of the trunk jam, and then that window, and then this top section is mostly done. Down here is mostly done, and then that window is mostly done. So I'll get this back panel finished, and then this side of the trunk jam and the window, and then it just goes to making sure the big panels are straight, the roof and the quarters, and then it can go off to the paint booth. I'll be painting this in a paint booth. My dad's good friend has a paint booth that he's going to let me use. Obviously, I just spray primer in the garage and just drape some plastic over everything. But to do the paint, I want to do it in a paint booth. So since you guys seen the car last, the trunk is cut out again. This just had a really, like, these cars come with a big spare tire well in here, and I just welded a flat panel in it when I was like 17 or 18, and it was really not done the best. It was kind of rusty, whatever. So I went ahead and cut out a nice opening, and then I'm gonna run a radium fuel cell in here. So I'll end up making a frame that goes in here, and then there'll be like some seals and a nice aluminum panel that'll go over the whole entire hole to cover everything up. But this car had some rust. Basically this whole bottom section here was rusted out, and that's what connects into the trunk pan too. So what I did is I made a cut right here all the way down and cut this all off. So this panel doesn't have a bead in it from the factory like this. I actually got a bead roller and, you know, made that panel for that and welded all that in. But just that seam right there was most of the rust on the car. There really wasn't any other rust, but I think it looks pretty good. It just had like a little bend here, and to try to keep the panel straight, I added a bead instead. I think it looks decent. But then on the inside, to complete the seam again, and to give myself a little ledge to set the aluminum panel on once I seal this up, this is basically some thin angle iron right here. And it was just kind of, you know, worked to the shape, because this kind of bows either way. So I kind of made some notches in it, cut it, bent it, you know, shaped it, and then welded it all up and welded it in there. Seals it up pretty good. So that little ledge down there just gives me, you know, a ledge to set the decorative panel on in here without the backside being all floppy in there. There's a little bit of rust up here. This little pinch right here, this pinch weld, I gotta take care of that still. I'm not super crazy worried about getting that done right away, just because that's like a super small, easy repair. It'll get done though before paint. But yeah, trying to get the whole outside prepped out, and then this whole trunk area will get prepped out and it'll get coated as well. I'm either going to bed liner the inside of this, because the whole car was bed linered before, so I kind of like to keep some sort of bed liner in here. So this will either get bed linered or just like pour 15 or something, like a chassis coating. Most of these panels are going to fit back in, but still want to, you know, put a new coating on there. Really not a whole lot else going on. Bodywork is taking forever. Sanding is taking forever, as usual. Figured I could give you guys like a little kind of preview of what I mean by blocking. Most body shop guys are gonna know, but traditionally what you're gonna do is you're gonna have some long blocks like this. This is what you're gonna use over the big panels, you know. And once you spray that black guide coat down, as you start to sand this roof, you're gonna kind of see like little black areas, like black spots, where your sandpaper isn't actually contacting the primer. So that, you know, kind of shows you that there's a low spot or where your high spots are, etc. So this is kind of what you're going to do on the big panels. But door jambs and stuff like that, what I like doing is I'm either going to use one of these small blocks, or if I'm not super worried about it being straight, I kind of fold sandpaper onto itself and I'll kind of tear off squares, that you can use it on your fingers. This is some 400. You can use like 400 or 600 on your like final like blocking for base coat and clear coat. Some guys will even go crazy and like wet sand primer and all that. That's pretty common too on like high-end paint jobs. But this is just 400. This is what I'm using in door jambs and stuff like that. So you can see right here, this has like a guide coat on it. It's like I said, basically like a black spray paint. And as you start to take your sandpaper, for one, obviously it's going to get it insanely smooth, but for two, you can start to see, if you look up close, obviously these are pinch welds, so they're going to be low, but you can start to see your low spots, where you have like drop-offs and creases and all that sort of stuff. And it's important that you're not just being super aggressive, pushing down in one spot and just going back. You kind of want to do like you would when you're doing body work and kind of do your cross hatching, so you're not just working straight down the middle. But you can kind of see how it starts to smoothen out versus like this that has the guide coat on it. So you can see as you do that to the whole roof, obviously you're going to see, like if there's like a tiny dent here, there will be a little black circle, where you're not hitting it. And it's important to use that long block so that way you're not creating a pressure point, basically just like using your finger. You don't want to create a pressure point just in the center of the panel. You want to work multiple directions and you want to try to spread that load out, so doing this on door jambs and stuff really isn't like super critical, getting it right. Obviously you can just sand it and get away with it most of the time, but on like flat parts like this, I will use like a 6-inch block and actually block it out right. But basically that's about it. So you'll do this to the whole thing. This is basically all it is. So you can see all your lows. And, make sure you don't miss anything. Because if you guide coat the whole car and you miss any of it, you forget to sand any of it or anything like that, you have all this, guide coat as a reference to really stand out as you look over the car and you're like, oh, I haven't sanded that, I need to do that. So that's basically the purpose of that, and that kind of shows you the difference. Like I said, this is 400. Some people go 600, 800. Some people will actually wet sand. There will be people that will block the primer out with a guide coat and blocks and do another coat of like high build or medium build primer before their base coat, smooth it out, another layer, smooth it out, another layer sort of deal, so that way you can get it like extra smooth. But for what I'm doing here on just a home restoration, I think I got enough primer on there, so I should be decent to just get away with one thick layer. But if you guys want to see anything else like this or have any specific things that you want to see, you can go ahead and let me know. Hopefully by the next video this will be completely blocked and sanded and prepped, and we'll be over at a paint booth. I'm pretty optimistic that it's going to happen here in a few weeks. So hopefully I'll be on schedule to get another video out here in the next end of the month or whatever. And thank you guys for watching and sticking around, even though I haven't been uploading very much lately. But we're gonna work on that 2021, and hopefully get to see this car painted and start getting it assembled and doing some cool stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.